All right, Voldemort, it is another week here, and we have a lot of problems here. So,
Is it
let,
my fault again? Did I leave the cupboard open? I swear I only took the cookies out once.
who stole the cookies from the cookie? Is that song copyrighted? I don't know. Anyway,
What's kind
we've got lots of sports problems going on here.
Yeah.
First off, I guess congratulations to Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero of the Miami Heat, winning the Eastern Conference Finals against the Boston Celtics, which on paper, the Boston Celtics should be the best team in the league, if not top three. They're definitely teams with better overall players, um, but from a roster standpoint, let's see, who do we have? We've got Kemba Walker, Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum, Daniel Tice, Marcus Smart, Brad Wanamaker, Grant Williams. Ennis Cantor. These guys, their starting five basically are all stars. Their top seven are all stars, and their 8 and 9 guys could be all stars if they were on other teams. And it's like they really need to like put all their names in the hat and pull a name out, sort of like how Aaron Boone picks the lineup for the Yankees. They just need to like pick a name out of a hat and be like, oh, okay, Gordon Hayward, you're going to be the guy for this night. Everyone feed the ball, because they have so many guys that are so good, and it's like they like some of them forget how to like shoot every other night. It's like, Jaylen Brown went 4 for 25 tonight. Well, that's why they lost by 10 points. He didn't score anything. Or Jaylen Brown, the other game, was held scoreless in the first half and part of the third period in the quarter there. And then he exploded for like 30 points the rest of the second half. But you can't be doing that in the first half. And it's like really frustrating how a team this talented, with a coach who should have been coach of the year these past like 6-7 years, and it's just really frustrating that a team this talented has to have a mental locker room breakdown before they win Game 3. But then they blew so many of these games. They had it close in Game 5, and they just couldn't. They just couldn't do anything. It was really sad.
I mean, it's not the first time we've seen this happen in sports. I mean,
No.
look to the last how many years in a row have the Dodgers gone to the playoffs and come up empty? 7, 6, 7 years.
Yes, yeah, yes.
And
The
the
Dodgers
Bills
have
Yeah,
done
and the
that.
and the Bills of the '90s, who went to 4 straight Super
Yeah.
Bowls and didn't come back with a single ring.
Now, the difference, though, with baseball compared to basketball, though, is baseball, you can get hot and cold, and that can last for games. You can see a team win, like the Royals, you saw them with their bullpen by dominating games in a short sprint to the World Series that way. In basketball, rarely the worst team wins. It's normally the better team that wins. And that's just how it is in basketball. And Boston is one of the better teams on paper, and it just doesn't happen. Uh, it's like they forget how to shoot some nights, and it boggles my mind. It's not like in baseball where you can lick your fingers and alter the ball a little bit, or change the ball entirely and let a pitcher give up 10 home runs instead of a couple fly balls. Basketball is basically the same thing, game in, game out, and Boston can't get their act together. And it's really sad because Brad Stevens is a hell of a coach. The players just aren't gelling the way they should. And they've got all this talent. And I don't want Brad Stevens to leave. I like him. I think he's one of the better coaches I've ever seen in basketball. I know you can't win every year, but it's got to happen. Sort of speaking of the Celtics, former head coach Doc Rivers, who went to the Clippers several years back, has been fired from the Clippers after the players decided to just not really care at all. So and that just broke earlier today, and about an hour after that, a couple teams were already sort of like trying to get info to see if he wants to come over their way.
Yeah, because Doc Rivers he's not a guy who doesn't have a presence, aka Gabe Kapler.
Yeah.
But he's a guy well respected,
Mm-hmm.
strong resume on him.
He's got a title to his name.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way he can't bounce back. I mean, the Clippers had the insurmountable challenge of going up against the ghost of Kobe Bryant and the Lakers. That's a tall order for any team to do. And
well, I mean, the Nuggets just got really hot, but having that looming hand over your shoulder there of the Lakers definitely didn't help either. And considering it was sort of like the first year that everyone was sort of there, but then again, you could say that Kawhi was only 1 year in Toronto and he won a title there, so I don't know. There's just some. Kawhi is definitely one of the top 5 best players in the league, hands down when he's healthy. But there's just something off about him. At the end of his tenure with the Spurs in San Antonio, there was just something about his quad. And people have questioned it, whether it's his work ethic. I mean, you see some of these players come into the locker room, into the stadiums, and they've got like nice suits on, and they all have their Beats headphones and whatnot, but they're all just sort of walking in there, looking sharp, ready to go, and Kawhi's always just sort of in there in like socks and some flip-flops and a hoodie, and he looks like he just rolled out of bed. So I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work. We'll have to see on that end. So yeah, as for basketball, we have Heat versus Miami. We have Heat versus the Lakers.
The only thing we have to fear is ourselves.
So
but yeah, I told you the Heat were going to bracket bust this entire thing and get to the finals. Now, will they beat the Lakers? I'm not as confident in that.
Now, the Lakers have LeBron James. He's now going to be participating in his 9th finals in 10 years, which is amazing. I think only like the Celtics team of the 60s and 70s could claim to do that.
I mean, that's getting into even like the golden years of the New York Yankees level of consistency in playoffs.
Yeah, so that's just impressive for LeBron's sort of tenure. And I think the Lakers, well, LeBron should beat the Heat. But, as we've seen, the Heat, unlike the Celtics, have a bunch of role players who are very good, who can step up from game to game. So Tyler Hero dropped like 37 points the one night. Bam Adebayo had some great games. Jimmy Butler's been good. First 2 games, Gordon Dragic was leading the Heat in scoring. So the Heat have probably the better complete team, but the Lakers have LeBron and Anthony Davis.
And Kobe Bryant guiding every single move from the heavens.
So
they have the, if the NBA could dictate who they want to win this, it would be the Heat. They would not the Heat, sorry, the Lakers. They want that storyline. They want
which team are we rooting for?
The Cleveland, the St. Louis Browns. That's who we're rooting. No,
that's an old team.
Yeah, they want the storyline of the Lakers coming back from Kobe Bryant's tragedy and then deal the pandemic to win it all. Yep. That is their storyline. The Heat, well, they just want to stick it to LeBron.
Yep. How bad would it be if Miami wins the Super Bowl, the NBA title?
Yeah, who are we rooting for again? I mean, it's probably not as bad as another.
Well, no. I'm talking about this from a pandemic situation. Miami wins the NBA championship. What happens in Miami? Are people just going to go out and go even crazier than what Florida's been these last couple of months?
I mean, that's a question for any team. Like even California has not exactly been been able to keep people in check.
Well, that's
as
sort
much
of
as they would
because
want.
there's been fires burning all over California, and
Well, that too.
people are out and about for that.
Yeah, but it's going to be. See, this is going to be the first champ. Well, the end the end. I mixed up the NHL and the NFL for some reason. I couldn't put the words in my mouth. But the NHL, who's could be wrapped up as early as tonight,
Yes.
will be the first franchise. I don't think a Dallas Tampa Bay Stanley Cup Finals is going to be anywhere near the level
No.
of a Lakers Heat
No,
NBA
not at all.
Finals.
Not at all. The Lightning are looking to win their first cup since '06, I think it was. No, '04. '04. It might be '04. With head coach John Tortorella, who ended up coaching the Rangers and now the Columbus Blue Jackets. Actually, he had a stop in Vancouver in between those two. But yeah, so the Lightning look to win. For a while, a lot of the Ranger players got traded to the Lightning, so I've sort of liked the Lightning a little bit. Dallas Stars now have Corey Perry, who was on the Ducks, who I liked. So I'd like to see Corey Perry get a nice ring, get to kiss the cup.
They also haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1999.
Yeah, so it's looking pretty good. Although every team I've rooted for in the NHL playoffs has lost. So right now I'm rooting for the Stars, so hopefully that'll counteract it and the Lightning will win. I don't know. But we'll have to see. Hopefully tonight, and the Lightning will close this out, which the game's underway now. It's about 5 minutes into the first period as of this recording. So we'll have to see what's going down with that. The Rangers have traded longtime defenseman Mark Stahl, so that's sort of basically an end to an error, more or less, once they figure out the whole Lundqvist situation, whether they're going to buy him out or trade him or something like that, or if he's just going to flat out retire. We got to see. And apparently the Lightning, Steven Stamkos out for a possible cup clincher tonight, I think. So that's going to be... Oh no, sorry, that's Saturdays. I'm not sure if he's into that. But anyway, so hockey's going there. Football. Oof. So we're New York, New Jersey guys. The Giants, that defense is so trash. It's just... I don't even know why the Giants even put a defense out there. It's just that bad, that sad. It's one of the worst teams I've seen. But you know who's even worse than the Giants? The Jets. The Giants have a minus 41 point differential. The Jets have a minus 57. That's bad. And you're only 3 games into the season. You've got a minus 57 differential. You can't be doing that. It's terrible. It's ridiculous. The Jets and the Giants both have the least amount of points scored. Jets with 37, Giants with 38. Jets play the completely depleted Denver Broncos this upcoming week, I believe on Thursday night. So there's talks that if the Jets can't beat the hapless Denver Broncos, who are basically throwing out like practice squad guys, head coach Adam Gase might be fired by Thursday night. So
I mean, you're the one who actually still had hope that they would be at least average this year for both teams. I knew that this was going to be terrible coming in for both of them. Never mind the fact that what happened around them. I mean, the Jets might. I had some more hope because of the Patriots losing a lot of players, but the Patriots have come out strong.
Yeah. So
to start out, and that's
well,
kind of
the rest of the Jets' schedule. They have Denver, Arizona, the Rams, Buffalo, Kansas City, New England, Miami. Miami again after the bye week. They've got the Raiders, Las Vegas, Seattle, Los Angeles Rams, Cleveland Browns, and then the Patriots. Um, not many games there that look like they're going to win. Last year, the Jets had a really tough first half of the year, and then they ended up winning like 6 of their last 8 games to finish off like 7 and 9, whatever it was. But they had a really easy season the rest of the year. This year, I think Denver, maybe they can win that game. The Chargers, maybe, but they're in LA. Probably not going to beat Buffalo. Definitely not Kansas City in Kansas City. Probably can't beat the Patriots either those 2 times. Probably not Miami. Probably not the Vegas Raiders. Seattle, they're in Seattle. They're screwed there. The Rams aren't looking very good, but maybe against the Cleveland Browns, and they got the Patriots. So I'm looking maybe at most the Jets to win 3 games this year.
Oof, I wasn't thinking that bad.
They might be lucky just to win the 1 game against Denver. That might be it. It's really sad they have no offense. I laughed. I was coming out of the bathroom, I think it was. I was like, oh my no, I don't remember. I was about to take a shower. No, I was coming out of the shower, and I heard the announcers talking on the TV, and they're like, yeah, we thought the Jets were going to have a really good game. It was 7-7 in the first quarter, and the game just fell apart, and I'm like, what team have you been watching? The Jets are terrible. Sam Darnold only looks to one receiver. He can't do anything at all. He's complete trash.
I thought you were laughing because you saw John Gruden's hilarious nose mask.
No, that one I didn't see. But the Jets had nothing going on. They traded away their best defensive player because he finally realized, I'm not getting paid and this team's not going anywhere, because the whole organization is full of a bunch of dumb idiots that don't know anything about football. You might as well rebrand the New York Jets to the Cleveland Browns 2. Because
St. Louis Browns.
It's the St. Louis Browns.
Bring back the Browns.
The Jets they've been like a player or 2 away from the Super Bowl for the last 40 years, and they just can't get their stuff together. They can't get it right. I thought it was going to be good bringing in Adam Gase. He gets that like short pass game going on. Le'Veon Bell would be a good thing, and it just wasn't working out. Jets have no wide receivers. The tight ends aren't very good. It's just a mess. Although my new favorite football team, the Seattle Seahawks, Russell Wilson set the record for most touchdown passes in the first 3 games, taking over Patrick Mahomes' previous record. So Wilson's got 14 on the year, leading Seattle to a 3-0 start after a scare from the Cowboys and the Dak Prescott-led offense. He threw for like 450 yards, but a lot of those were just unlucky deep passes. Or long throws. So the Seahawks need to fix their offensive line because Wilson takes too many hits, too many sacks. They'd be so much of a better team if like he wasn't getting hit very often. I'm just glad he's been able to withstand all these sacks all these years, but it's just gotten crazy and ridiculous.
Yeah. You want to know what is going to be ridiculous?
The Yankees versus Cleveland Indians.
I was going to say the playoffs as a whole for baseball, but I think we've talked enough about the rest of sports that we can finally move over to the elephant in the room, and that is
Kurt Busch won a NASCAR race. No.
That too.
But baseball.
And after 60 games, which felt a lot longer than it was, that the season's over. It came down, and it miraculously for ratings and stuff, it actually came down to the last game for a few of those teams. That the Brewers and Cardinals had had to play their last game, and then the Brewers had to wait and see what the Giants and Padres did before finding out they got their ticket into the postseason.
Yeah,
but,
the St. Louis didn't end up having to play that doubleheader today, which was
yeah,
pretty nice.
if the Cardinals had lost their game against the Brewers and the Giants had won, the Cardinals would have to play up to 2 games in Detroit, and if they lost both of those games, the Giants would have made it into the postseason. But they didn't, so that leaves us with the remaining 16 teams, the most in a single playoff year for anyone. You have your American League teams, the Astros versus the Twins in the first best of 3 wild card round, the White Sox and the Athletics, the Blue Jays and the Rays, and then the marquee pitching matchup, the Yankees and the Indians. And then over in the National League, you have the Braves and the Reds, the dreaded Cubs and Marlins series that Chicago fears, the Padres and the Cardinals, and then the Dodgers and the Brewers. And I gotta say, looking out at this, as I said, it may be the D series, the number 4 and number 5 seed, but that Indians Yankees series is probably the best matchup you're going to see when that starts on Tuesday. Garrett Cole versus Shane Bieber, dueling Cy Young pitchers, going out against Game 1 in Cleveland.
And you know who's catching Garrett Cole for Game 1?
Higashioka.
Yeah, it's Gary Sanchez is fumbling, and Kyle looks like to be the man. So we'll have to see. Was it Cole's 3-1 in his last 4 starts, 1 ERA, 34 strikeouts in 24 innings, all with Higgy behind the plate. I think this is what it has to be now. Cole hasn't been the best away from Yankee Stadium. And there's not going to be. I mean,
there isn't going to be any games in Yankee Stadium after this round.
Saying, like he only had like a 3.5 ERA away from Yankee Stadium,
yeah,
but only. But you have a team that can score 8 runs a game, like they should be. There's absolutely no problem with that. But when you've got a pitching staff like what Cleveland has.
I think even if Gary Sanchez would be in the lineup, I think even he would be forgiven if he struck out 4 times against Shane Bieber. The guy's in the short season has struck out 122 batters. He's only been hit for 1.63 runs on his ERA. That this is a guy who not only could win is going to win the Cy Young Award, but also is going to be seriously in the MVP conversation.
Yep.
But it's as much as I fear them. There is a bit of a problem with the Indians lineup. That yes, you have Francisco Lindor, Mr. Smile, doing his thing. You have a resurgent Jose Ramirez in the cover off the ball, but if you look at the rest of that lineup, that they only have 3 regulars who are hitting more than 260. And outside of Lindor, Ramirez, and Franmil Reyes, they don't have anyone that. And Carlos Santana, who's hitting $199. There's not much power in that lineup. That Oscar Mercado has fallen off a cliff after his stellar rookie season. As I said, Santana has struggled badly. The rest of that outfield it ranges from nothing to write home to terrible. That you can't really get many runs off them, but there's also not that many guys that you have to fear. Conversely, yes, the Yankees, they've either been white hot or ice cold, but they have better chances of putting up runs than the Indians. Of course, we're still waiting for Sanchez and Stanton and Judge have cooled off after they came back from the injured list, but you still have the likes of DJ LeMahieu the guy who hits more moonshots than anyone this year, Luke Voigt. The two combined, I think, the first time since the 1950s that the batting champion and the home run champion have come from the same team, and the first time since 1901 or 1902 that the batting champion for a batting champion to do it in both the American League and the National League. Plus, it's also the Yankees. They will get, if they get hot, they are as dangerous as anyone. But so it looks like for the 3 games for them, it's going to be Cole and Bieber, and then in some order, it's going to be Carrasco and Plesac for the Indians, and then Tanaka and Happ, or potentially Devi Garcia for the Yankees.
Now, I just want to talk a little bit about the final standings of how everything was. Now, the Marlins made the playoffs, but the Orioles didn't, so you don't have to eat your hat.
Yeah, I just have to wear a hat. Which, since this is a podcast, you can't tell if I'm wearing it or not.
You got to use your imagination. So we had Tampa Bay win that. Yankees finished with the number 2 seed in the East. Toronto getting that other wild card, so 3 teams from the AL East. So last time when we talked last week, we said the White Sox were the number 1 team in the AL, and they ended up deciding to lose 7 games in a row.
Yeah, you go 2-8 on the last 10.
Yeah.
So they not only lost the division, they had to settle for a wild card.
Yeah. Which brings me to my next thing. Oakland won the West, but Houston finished 29-31, under 500, and yet, if we look at the seedings, the Astros have the number 6 seed when there's a total of 8 teams in the playoffs in each conference, and the Astros have the 6th seed compared to the White Sox and the Jays.
By that logic, the Indians should have the number 3 seed. No, never mind. Oakland finished 1 game up, but yeah, it's that the top 3, the division winners are. It's based out of those 3. Then the second place is 4-6, and then the 2 wild cards get 7 and 8. That's why Houston, with a losing record, is able to get in not at the number 8 seed. Although I think between facing Tampa and Minnesota, it's not really. You're not really benefiting either way, especially have you seen what has happened to that Houston team? Because
I don't recognize anybody there.
Never mind. I'm just pulling up the team stats right now, but never mind that Justin Verlander is injured and will not pitch next year, even as he recovers from Tommy John surgery. But this entire team, Zach Greinke has had a 5+ ERA in September. You have the batting average of the guys is anemic. Jose Altuve is batting .219. Alex Bregman is a .242 hitter. Correa is one of their best hitters at .264. And George Springer, who's their power bat's hitting .265, but that's a bit of a cry-off where he was last year when he was batting .292.
Yeah.
If this is a lineup that everyone's going to say it, so I'm going to say it, they missed their trash can. They missed They miss hearing the pitches, and even if they were fine, not using it last year, the fact that the batting averages are plummeted so far off their norms, all that does is fuel the speculation and the jeering from guys saying that they cheated because look what happened when they didn't have their trash can. Now, of course, some of this is probably reflecting on the short season that even MVPs have a month or two of a bad stretch.
Yep.
So who knows if Altuve might be a 290 hitter if this was a 162 game season, but
yeah, I mean,
not this year.
What we gotta see with the Astros though is we know like they have their pitching not healthy, but their batters very much healthy, and if they can figure out how to hit a friggin' baseball, they might be the dark horse team to worry about.
I don't know. They drawing up the Twins. They have a tougher starting pitching matchup than they would have had with the Rays. They have to face Yu Darvish, who, if it wasn't for Shane Bieber, would be in the Cy Young conversation. You have Rich Hill. You have Jose Barrios. And
I'm not saying they're going to dismantle them because those pitchers have been having very good times, but playoffs are different. Teams get hot, as we talked about when we were talking about basketball. Like Clayton Kershaw generally lights out in the regular season. Postseason, he forgets to show up. It's just sort of what happens to some players. The Astros have won a lot of October games these last several years, so they know what it takes to. I guess their mindset was make the playoffs and roll from there. Yeah. And this is a bracket format, so we have to remember this. Like the White Sox, they might be a number 7 seed versus a number 2 seeded A's team, but like we said a week ago, the White Sox were the number 1 seed. They have multiple MVP candidates on that team. Will they? Probably not. Shane Bieber will probably take that, as we discussed. But the White Sox are very capable of beating the A's. A's can beat the White Sox. But this is a bracket format, so it's not like we've seen in normal times where everything's all reseeded. So that's going to bring up a lot of issues and whatnot.
Credit for the Astros. The one thing that is on their side is the Twins' apoplectic playoff record, losing 17 in a row, including the last 14 against the Yankees, which they're the ones that are most happy that the White Sox collapsed because they don't have to face New York now.
Yeah. And that's actually better for the Twins because they got to go through the Astros and then either the A's or the White Sox before they could possibly face the Yankees, who have to go through murderer's row for the pitching staff. The team that's just spanked them all year, Tampa Bay, or Toronto, where it's been a slugfest all season between the Yankees and Toronto. So the Yankees have a tough road ahead of them, as do the Twins if they make it and both teams clash in the ALCS. So we'll have to see what goes down. As for the National League, Dodgers should probably beat the hapless Brewers, who just don't seem to really have everything.
Well, they might have been able to win in a short series, but the Brewers in the last week got dealt a horrendous hand. They losing two of their starting pitchers to injury. One of which, Chase Anderson, was part of the reason why they had to settle for the 8th seed, because he was dealing in that last game and then left with a blister issue, and they just collapsed after that. But if it's close, the Brewers might actually have the hand, because they have that back end of the bullpen, not just Josh Hader, but Devin Williams, who is basically unhittable, the best reliever right now in the major leagues. But unfortunately,
you have to be holding the lead to get to him into the bullpen. That starting rotation can't do it, and that potent Dodger offense led by Mookie Betts, who's an MVP frontrunner, it's going to be hard to keep that offense down to get to that third cycle through the lineup to tame it down. So I'm not saying it's going to be an easy win, but I think the Dodgers should take those 2 games, the first 2 games.
Yeah, and then after that we have the biggest disappointment out of this entire playoff round, in which the the best record in baseball and the third best baseball record, if they get to the division series, will have to face each other.
Yeah.
I.e. the Padres, because the Padres, I can see them easily moving out the Cardinals. The Cardinals, it's kind of a lot of blah.
Yeah.
From that lineup. There's not really much bad about them, but there's not much good about them either. They've been dealt some pitching injuries and regressions. Their hitting has been okay, but you haven't seen a breakout from Paul Goldschmidt or Paul DeJong as you did last year. Conversely, the Padres, we know about Slam Diego as much, but they've also been dealt some hands. Clevenger's questionable for this round with injury. Jason Castro, I believe, is also dealing with issues behind the plate with concussions.
Mm-hmm.
And there you also have their other guy whose name I'm blanking off of, but is not one of the guys that they traded for when they got like 50 guys during the playoff. But he's also dealing with stuff. Why is this name blanking me?
Paddock, Davies, Ryan,
No. Lament, that's who it is. Yeah, Dinelson Lament is also dealing with issues, but they should easily pass the Cardinals, and then that sets up a tremendous best-of-5 series, which I believe will probably be the Padres, because let's face it, Clayton Kershaw has not been a postseason savant, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be interesting, Dodgers versus Padres. So that's a series I'm gonna look forward to. Cubs versus Marlins. Cubs have been quietly a division leader for most of the year. We didn't think they were going to do anything. They were towards, I think, the bottom for the first couple weeks, and then they just sort of came to life. I mean, they're 19-14 at home, 15-12 away, plus 25 run differential, which isn't anything to brag about, but considering it's a short season, I guess
I would
that's
actually,
good.
I would actually like to say that, because there is one thing I need to ask about the Cubs,
Mm-hmm.
and that is, why the heck were they so good this year?
Yeah, I mean
I can
first
tell.
year Jonathan Ross coach. I mean, I guess props to him.
Yeah, David Ross, much better than.
Did I say Jonathan Ross?
Yes.
Wrong celebrity.
Yeah, wrong guy. Right, but yeah, I can tell you why they're good. That Kyle Hendricks and Yu Darvish have been the Cy Young caliber pitchers. Alec Mills threw a no-hitter, but the reason I say why is their lineup. Their lineup has underperformed more than any other team this season that made the playoffs. Look at it. Anthony Rizzo, 222 hitter. Javier Baez, 203. Kyle Schwarber he's been there. He's been about. Well, actually, no. Kyle Schwarber at $188. They're the only hitter in their regular lineup that's hit more than 260 is Jason Hayward, who
and
for the
he's
last
been like the big albatross the last couple of years.
Yeah. Oh, I also forgot Chris Bryant, 206.
Yeah.
Yeah. This lineup is not hitting at all, and somehow they go and win the Central with 34 wins. I mean, part of it is also the Central kind of the NL Central and the NL East both kind of stumbled over each other all season.
Yeah.
So that's part of it, but the Cubs, really? They're the one team that stands above all?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about the Reds winning the division at the beginning of the year, and their pitching staff, if you looked at them, you'd be like, oh yeah, definitely, their pitching staff had that, but the Reds didn't really have very good hitters either, and it just sort of seemed like they were like losing 2-1 every night.
Yeah, and similarly, the Brewers, we thought, oh, their pitching's questionable, but they'll always have the hitting, and their hitting just disappeared.
Yeah. So,
and then, of course, the Pirates were the Pirates.
Yeah. So I think out of all the first round.
Well, hang on, we forgot to talk about one.
Well, no, that's what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
I think out of all of the first round matchups, I think the most interesting is going to be the Braves versus the Reds.
Yeah.
I like the determination on the Reds, led by Trevor Bauer. I think
he kind of threw baseballs and gloves in order to pull the Reds into the postseason.
Yeah, but the I was going to say the A's because I'm looking at a giant A. The Braves, they have a team that is looking to be reckoned with. I mean, the pitching staff, fine, but when you've got a lineup that's just like really this good. Freddie Freeman, 341, 13 home runs, 53 RBIs, and an OPS of 1.1.
He's in the MVP
that's
caliber.
Pretty good. Ronald Acuna, he slugged 14 home runs, only a 250 average, but a 987 OPS. I mean, that's nothing to scoff at. I mean, you've got some really
Marcell Ozuna,
Yep.
who's come out of nowhere to be in that MVP.
Yep, 18 home runs, 56 RBIs,
338 batting average,
OPS over 1. I mean.
Oh, and they also have Ronald Acuna Jr., who's only hit 250, but still has 14 home runs in an injury-marred season.
Yeah. So I mean, this team is nothing to scoff at. I think out of all the matchups, this is the one where you're going to see some of the best pitching. I mean, Cleveland and the Yankees definitely you're going to have some of the best pitching.
I mean,
when the Yankees hit, they're definitely one of the better lineups, but I think this is just going to be a better team overall with the Braves hitting wise.
I have no doubts the Braves can get out of the first round. That they have Max Fried and Ian Anderson, 1 and 2. That combined they have an ERA of about 2.1.
Yep.
It's after that I have a question, because after that their rotation is non-existent. Kyle Wright is maybe their number 3 starter with a 5.21 ERA. Josh Tomlin maybe. That they're going to have to get creative behind their 1 and 2, because it's 1 and 2 and then a bunch of number 5 guys. So I could see them maybe getting past Trevor Bauer and the Reds, but after that, if they want to face up against the Cubs or Marlins, and then when we get on to the facing the other side, where there's a much better teams on the National League, I think are on the A and D teams, the Padres and the Dodgers and even the Brewers. But those are the better ones. The ones on the other side, they all have flaws, except the Marlins, who their streak is in jeopardy. They're 2 for 2 with getting into the playoffs and winning the World Series. That this could be the year that the streak is broken, or we just resign ourselves to being the underlings of Derek Jeter and company, and say that he was in the right all along with the Marlins.
Yeah. And then are you gonna have to eat your hat if Miami wins it all?
I think we'd all have to eat our hats, considering how bad they've been the last several years. If the Marlins win the World Series this year, that's just 2020 in a nutshell. The Miami Marlins win the World Series. That's all you need.
Miami Marlins and Miami Heat. Let's go.
Yeah, the historians will look back and say, what's the best way to sum up the 2020? And the best way will be Miami Marlins won the World Series. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. But in seriousness, I honestly think that my best bet for a World Series matchup is I'm going to go with an all Cleveland World Series. The Indians and the Reds, and with the Indians coming out on top. Now we'll revisit that and readjust as inevitably this bracket gets busted badly, but.
As for me, I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to say A's over the Braves.
That's not
I think we're gonna. I think that's gonna be a fun.
an all-A World Series.
Yep. I think that's gonna be fun. I think this is the year the A's break it out and make that deep run. And the Braves, I think they're gonna capitalize on the Nationals from falling completely off the face of the earth. I think the Dodgers will meet them in there, but I think some timely hitting from Freddie Freeman and company are just going to outluck the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are going to fall in 7 games there.
Yeah. I think it's going to be an matter of pitching. It's going to be it's going to be a best of 7, and you're going to have Trevor Bauer and Shane Bieber matching up 3 times in the World Series.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Other before you go, other combinations of note: we could have an all Chicago World Series, we could have an all Florida World Series, and we could have the politically incorrect World Series of the Indians versus the Braves.
Or we can have the old-timey classic Yankees Dodgers.
Yep, we could have some fun with some old ones too.
No, I do want to end on this one note. I talked about the Nationals for half a second there. Juan Soto, 351, 13 home runs, 37 RBIs, and OPS of 1.185. He missed the first couple of games because of a COVID scare, which he wasn't even infected in.
Thank God.
An on-base percentage of .490. My God, that is impeccable. Now, would he have been able to hold this up for an entire 162-game season? Probably not. But he probably could have finished with an on-base percentage of like 465, 470, I'd say, and that's still impressive. I mean, I think the most impressive thing, and I'm a big fan of this, that's why I was a pusher for Bregman winning MVP last year, his walk-to-strikeout ratio. 41 walks to only 28 strikeouts. That's just him taking it to the next level. I mean, last year he had 108 walks to 132 strikeouts. And the prior year he had 79 walks to 99 strikeouts, although he didn't play as many games. But it showed that he has progress. He's well disciplined at the plate with his Soto shuffle. He hit 13 home runs this year, which probably would have put him on pace for what he hit last year, 34, maybe a little bit more.
Honestly, if this was a 162-game season, he might be well on his way. He might have been in that conversation at the end with Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman for the MVP if he had more time. Because he had the batting average, but I think because of his COVID scare, he missed just enough games that he's not in that conversation. Because his pace line, if he'd gotten, say, those remaining 10 games or so, he might have been up there outside of RBIs, because let's face it, the Nationals were Soto, Turner, and Sanchez, and not much else this year.
Yeah, but I mean, home runs, the leader was Ozuna with 18, so that's only 4 off there. Runs batted in, 56. What did I say he had for RBIs?
37.
So,
he's
our
light in the
RBIs, not as much. Hits, he had like 54.
Yeah, I see it like how, with DJ LeMahieu, that he's the best well-rounded player, but not the best overall player.
Yeah. But I think he had one hell of a season. He's definitely a big, bright star that Washington should be looking up to. They should take this season for Soto and really cherish this and be like, hey, we've seen a guy, he's been playing well for 3 straight years now. He's getting better and better each year. And it's just a matter of time before Washington comes back from this. Hopefully their players will be back strong for next
I mean,
year.
Strasburg will be back. That was probably their biggest thing, that they didn't have Strasburg.
Yep.
Without him, that exposed more of the underside of their rotation.
Yep.
You had Corbin and Sanchez took steps back, so they'll be back next year. But
they'll be back.
But for their prize, they got a very high draft pick for what they are. So.
Yep. And draft picks have been turning out a little bit better these last few years that we've seen with some scouting.
Yeah, which goes help for these following teams as Pittsburgh wins the draft lottery with the number 1 pick and not even winning 20 games this year, followed by the Rangers, Detroit, Boston, Baltimore, Arizona. So that gets us to 2, 4, 6. Washington has the 7th. The Mets stumbled into the 8th one. The 9th pick is the Angels, and then the Royals, who are probably better than most people expected this year, round up the top 10 of the draft and the bottom 10 of the league. But I think that does it for this week. I mean, not much else to say other than poor Girardi got robbed of a playoff resurgence by the fact that he couldn't find a bullpen arm to go to at the end of the year.
Yeah. I mean, there's always next year. Sir Didi, what did he have for his final slash line? He was having a pretty good year last I saw.
He was doing good. 284, 10 home runs.
Yep.
He'll get a good contract in free agency this year.
That's what I wanted to talk about. Trevor Bauer's 1 year only contracts for the rest of his career. What do you make of that? That's a bet that he had with a friend years ago. Is that gonna make him more money in the long run? That teams can just give him whatever they want 1 year at a time?
Well, that's if he even holds to that, because he recently softened his stance on that. That for the right situation, he would do a multi-year deal. So, if he although he's also said that he wants to take the ball every 4th day, so only getting pitching on 3 days rest. So, a lot of teams might be hesitant to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I could see. Like the Brewers ponying up and saying, hey, we don't really have much starting pitching. We're fine with you pitching every 3rd day if you want, as long as you don't get injured. Maybe the Angels, who similarly have injury
we know
issues.
He won't go to the Yankees because Garrett Cole's locked in there and the two hate each other. So
money talks. Money talks.
I guess it does.
Money can patch up many things. It can't buy you happiness, but it can at least paint happiness over you.
Yeah. As we're wrapping up this, the Lightning are up 1-0 over the Stars at the end of the first period. That means absolutely nothing in hockey. Teams blow 2 goal leads all the time, so 1-0 is nothing to worry about.
Here, use this for later. Congratulations to the Tampa Bay Lightning, Dallas Stars, for winning the Stanley Cup Finals. Just get rid of one of them and put the other one on for whoever wins.
Nah, this will probably be up before it ends. I'm gonna bang this out before, but we're heading into almost an hour territory, so who knows how long it'll take to upload.
Yeah, this is a very long episode. Let's get out of Dodge before our computers get angry at us for rendering this.
And then Kansas City versus Baltimore tonight. Kansas City's up 13-10. Clash between the last 2 MVPs in Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. So
very good matchup. Anyway, this has been Greg, and that has been Joe, and we have been talking for way too long.
All right. I guess we won't see you because it's a podcast and this is the internet. It's a one-way screen. So bye to all 2 of you. Hi, Dad.
Hi, Mom. See you all next week.
All right. See ya. Wash your hands. Brush your teeth.
Wear your mask.
Bye.